Hi guys, hopefully yesterday you were good with factoring quadratics. If you still need some help, make sure you check in with us for tutorial times. Today we're going to have to factor and then we're going to use the factored form to solve. So remember, solving quadratics, we're solving it because we're finding the solutions, the x-intercepts on the parabola. So we're going to go ahead and look at the top of our notes. And we're going to go ahead and factor the one that says standard form. So it says f of x equals x squared plus 2x minus 15. So we're going to make our cross puzzle, our x puzzle, whatever you want to call it. We need to identify a, b, and c. A is 1 in this problem. B is 2, and c is negative 15. So we're going to want to find two factors that will add to 2. Okay, remember we want to add to b. And we want them to multiply to whatever we get when we multiply a times c. So what is a times c here? Yeah, it'd be 1 times negative 15, so that would be negative 15. So we're going to put negative 15 down here. And we want the factors to multiply to this one. So if I think of numbers that multiply to negative 15, I know I could do 1 times negative 15, but I could also do negative 1 times positive 15. What about 2? Does 2 times anything give us 15 or negative 15? No, it'd have to be a decimal, and we only want whole numbers. So then we try 3. Oh yeah, 3 times negative 5 would give us negative 15. And negative 3 times 5 would give us negative 15. Go down to the next number, 4. Nope, that would be a decimal. It'd have to be 4 times a decimal to give us negative 15. What about 5? Oh, we've already done 5. We have it right here, so we can stop now. Which one of these is going to add to the 2? Yeah, this one is right here. So our factors are negative 3 and 5. So factored form for this equation would be f of x equals, and then we would do x minus 3 times x plus 5. If we divide by a, because you're supposed to divide by a, we'd be dividing by 1. So they would stay the same. Now, look at the graph. Looking at the parabola on the graph, what do you think, what are our solutions? What are our x-intercepts? Here's our x-axis. So our x-intercepts, our solutions would be at 3 and at negative 5. So what we do is we're just going to say our solutions are x equals 3 and x equals negative 5. Well, what if we don't have the graph? How can we figure out those solutions if we don't have the graph? Well, do you notice something about the factored form, the numbers in the factored forms and the solutions? Yeah, they're opposite. They're the same number, but the opposite sign. Isn't that interesting? So let's write, same number, but opposite sign. Okay, so let's practice this. Let's figure out how we can do this without having a graph. So here's our steps. It's 2 steps. First one is the equation has to be set equal to 0. All right, so when we look at the paper from yesterday, the practice paper, there were no equal signs. We were just factoring. So now we're going to have some equal signs. So it has to be set equal to 0. Then we're going to factor the equation if we need to, which most of the time we will. And then we're going to set each factor. That's going to be the parentheses. Each parentheses is going to be set equal to 0. Then we just solve for x, which will be real quick. So if you look at example 1, it says f of x equals 2x plus 3 times x minus 6. We don't need to do much. We just need to set it equal to 0 here. So we're going to change that f of x to 0. Because when you look at the graph, f of x means y. And what are the y coordinates of both of our solutions? 0. So anytime you put y, you make y 0, you're going to find the x-intercepts or the solutions. And then we rewrite the rest of it. So 2x plus 3 times x minus 6. Now, each thing in parentheses is going to get set equal to 0 because we don't need to factor. It's already in factored form. So we're going to split this up, and we're going to have 2x plus 3 equals 0, and x minus 6 equals 0. And then we just solve it like we solved way back in Algebra 1. We draw a line down. Don't call me after dark if you remember that. We don't need to distribute. We're going to do just this 2x plus 3 right now. We don't need to distribute because we don't have parentheses. We don't need to combine like terms on either side of the equal sign. And we don't need to move the variables because we don't have x's on both sides. But we do need to move that plus 3. So how do you move a plus 3? You're going to minus 3. So we subtract 3 on both sides. That gives us 2x equals negative 3. Last step, divide. What are we going to divide by? We divide by 2. So we end up with x equals negative 3 over 2 as one of our solutions, or x-intercepts. Okay, do the same thing on the other side. Draw a line down. Don't need to distribute, don't need to combine like terms, don't need to move the variables. We just need to move that minus 6. So how do we move a minus 6? We add 6. So we have x equals 6. There's our other solution. So if we were to graph this equation right here, we would see that the parabola, that U shape, goes through the x-axis, intercepts the x-axis at negative 3 over 2, which is negative 1.5, and positive 6. Okay, if you need to, pause and write all that down. Make sure you understand where we got everything from. And then we're going to look at example 2. On example 2, it says y equals 2x squared minus 3x minus 9. That's standard form. We need to get it into factored form. So our first step says set the equation equal to 0. So we're going to replace y with 0. So we got 0 equals 2x squared minus 3x minus 9. Okay, then we're going to have to factor. So this is where we do our x puzzle. We need to identify our a, b, and c values. We're going to put our b up top, so that's negative 3. And then on the bottom, we have to do a times c. So a times c is going to be 2 times negative 9, and that's negative 18. So that goes on the bottom. So we're looking for the things that multiply to negative 18, and we'll add to give us negative 3. So we know we got 1 times negative 18 and negative 1 times positive 18. What about 2? We can do 2 times negative 9, or negative 2 times positive 9. 3? 3 times negative 6, or negative 3 times positive 6. 4 would be a decimal. 5 would be a decimal. 6. 6 works, but we already have it. It's right here. So we can stop. As soon as you start repeating, you can stop. Now, we want to figure out which ones add to give us negative 3. So what's going to add to give us negative 3? Yeah, positive 3 and negative 6. You can do those in your calculator. So positive 3 and negative 6. So we're going to write 0 equals parentheses x plus 3 times x minus 6, and then we have to divide. We have to divide by our a value. Our a value is 2 here, so we're going to divide this one by 2 and this one by 2. 3 divided by 2 isn't nice, so we take that 2 and we slide it up. Okay, we move it up in front of the x, so we have 0 equals 2x plus 3 times, does negative 6 divided by 2, is that nice? Yeah, that's going to be negative 3. So that one becomes x minus 3. So there are factors. Now we set each one of those equal to 0. I've run out of room. So we have 2x plus 3 equals 0, and x minus 3 equals 0. We solve, minus 3 on both sides. We get, oops. We minus 3 on both sides. That's going to give us 2x equals negative 3. Divide both sides by 2. And we get x equals negative 3 over 2 again. On this one, we'd add 3 to both sides, so we would get x equals 3. So our solutions are x equals negative 3 over 2 and x equals 3. That's where the parabola, that U-shape, would cross the x-axis. Right? So we're going to practice that. You're going to factor just like you did yesterday, and then you're going to set them equal to 0 and solve. Again, Mr. Hernandez is in the College and Career Center after school Monday through Thursday if you need some help. Mr. Kramer's across the hallway a little bit. Miss Palmer can help. She's across the hallway. Miss Gigax will be happy to help. You just need to ask, okay? All right, y'all have a great day.